Hello everyone, and today I'm giving you my quick little short review of the movie Free State of Jones, and I'm here to give you what essentially my thoughts on this film is. And this movie is directed by Gary Ross, and it's about this story about this disillusioned Confederate Army deserter. He returns to Mississippi and leads a small militia of these fellow deserters, runaway slaves, and women, in essentially an uprising movement against the corrupt local Confederate government. And it basically shows the conflicting sides, and it's an important, and it's a really interesting film that's set in during the Civil War era when they were fighting for the rights of these people. Historically, this is an important film. Like any movie in the Civil War era, it's a very important film. It tackles issues that, either you want to acknowledge it or not, still exist today in North America, in these first world countries, which either we want to acknowledge it or not, is still happening. And it's like seeing how far it can come. Some people saying, "Oh, how far we come since then?" It's like, has it really? But regardless of that, it's a very important film, as any film from, well, based in this type of history of America. And it's, you may ask, what's good about this movie? There's a few things I do really enjoy. Number one, the performance by Matthew McConaughey is pretty good. It's not Oscar-worthy or anything, but it's okay. It's alright. It's good. What else is really good is it's a way that a war scene is shot. It's shot with a certain flair, to a certain degree of this, I would say glamour, but it feels, a bit more kinetic than any other type of war movie that's been shown today. I think the action scenes are fairly good, and the way they're shot is quite kinetic. I'm sorry about the lawnmower in the background if you hear that. I can hear it fine. But really, yeah, that's some really good stuff, and it does, it's the film that really does get you in the feels, oh yes, just fight against this type of terrible shit that's happened in such a horrible time that people want to forget, but we should never forget. We should really never forget this type of era and what it stood for, or what happened, and how fucking awful it was. However, it's nothing but pretentious preaching and talking, and it drags out like a motherfucker. It really does. And that movie it's just around just 2 hours and 20 minutes. And it feels like 3 hours, because it just feels like it drags. And there's so many times where the talking kind of goes on and on and on, and you kind of lose interest. And most of the characters are really well developed. Yes, the performance is really good by Matthew McConaughey, and he's the only character who I did legitimately care about, and it was a real good arc to his story. But aside from that, everyone else in this film was really forgettable. Kerry Russell, who I also really love, she's kind of sidetracked, and not much attention was given to her, to be honest. And all the performances were really, some of them were really good, but they were just forgettable. No disrespect to the actors, it's just what the material that they were given with, and how much screen time there was given to them. And for me, fucking noise. I'm sorry. Also, it's the film is just boring. It's unforgivably boring and dull about a point in history that I am very interested in, and I feel like we should understand it on a bit more of a deeper note, and what it still stands for in today's standards of society in a first world country like North America that we live in. Like I said before, it still has such a relevance in history, and it may never be forgotten. No, it should never be forgotten. But it's you gotta have a certain energy and a feel to it. And this film is a long, pre and done, boring speech or whatever the hell it's called. There's a speech. But there's a lot of preaching and speeching, and I have no problem with preaching in film as long as A, it's done in a good manner, and B, it's done to help the narrative of the story, and at the very least, it's interesting and fascinating, and it never is, because so many of these characters are not really that well developed, and you just don't really care for them. That's one of my biggest problems with this movie. And I love the highlights in the film. There's not much that really gets your blood going. Like, yes, like I really do feel like this is like the rebels versus the Confederates type of big, incredible fights, like so much. And it's like it's done in a very forgettable fashion. And as soon as it's done, holy shit, the background noise. It's like like I said, as soon as it's done, your mind just goes, oh right, it's over. It's like it's just that forgettable. And yes, it's a film that I do admire and respect. And there is a bit of a craftsmanship to it. But as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the most, if not the most disappointing film of the summer. Even though the summer season is now over and I'm going to give you my favorite and least favorites. Regardless, Free State Jones is one of the biggest disappointments of the year in my opinion, and it gets a 43% in my view, and that's my rating. Everyone, I really do hope you enjoy it, and yeah, I'll see you in the future for more videos as always. Till then, yeah, I'll see you until then. Peace.